The sky was blue, calm, and clear. Birds flew like they always did. Children laughed in parks. People went to work. It felt like a normal day on Earth. Then everything changed. A strange light appeared in the sky, bright, red, and fast. At first, people thought it was a meteor. Phones came out. People started filming. But the light didn't fall. It stopped. It hovered. Then it was followed by another, and another. Soon, the sky was full of fire. Flames rolled across the clouds like a storm. The sun disappeared behind thick black smoke. Giant objects blocked the sky, ships dark and wide like floating cities. They made no sound, no noise, just silence and fear. People screamed. Cars crashed, planes fell, satellites went dead. There was no internet, no phone signal. Then a deep voice came from every screen, every speaker, every device on Earth. Earth must surrender. You have 7 days. No warning again. Then silence again. In an old military bunker deep in the mountains, Commander Rayen watched the message repeat. He didn't move. His face was hard. He had seen war before, but never like this. He whispered to himself, "They're not here to talk." Rayen was a former soldier. Years ago, he left the army after a failed mission. People called him a ghost, but he never stopped watching the stars. He believed Earth was not alone. Now, he was proven right. He turned on the bunker lights. The room was filled with maps, radios, old weapons, and computers still working on backup power. One screen showed satellite images, burning cities, falling towers, people running. Rayen picked up a radio. "This is Commander Rayen. To anyone still alive, anyone who can hear this, go underground. Stay hidden. We will fight back." But there was no answer. In the city, Elia, a 14-year-old girl, hid under a broken bridge. Her parents were gone. Her street was gone. She held a small radio. It made static sounds, but no voices. She saw one of the alien ships above her. It was black like space. Lights moved around its sides. Then it made a sound, like a deep hum. It hurt her ears. But something strange happened. A church bell rang in the distance. The ship shook. Just a little, and then it flew away. Elia didn't understand, but she remembered that sound. That bell. Back in the mountains, Rayen's radio finally picked up a signal. A broken voice came through. "Underground. They're hunting. Need help." Rayen grabbed his bag, his old rifle, and his soldier's badge. He turned to a photo on the wall, his old team. He saluted it. "It's time," he said. He left the bunker and drove into the dark smoke. Cities were burning. Skies were red. The world looked like the end. But Rayen had hope. He believed in something most had forgotten: human strength. He found a small group of survivors hiding in a parking garage. They were cold, scared, and silent. Among them was a young man named Juno, a mechanic who worked at a spaceport. He knew how to fix drones and satellites. "I saw them," Juno said. "They don't talk. They don't feel. They just erase." Rayen nodded. "But they can be stopped." Juno laughed. "How? With what? Guns? We're ants to them." "No," Rayen said. "With something they don't expect. With what makes us human." Juno didn't understand, but he followed Rayen anyway. Together, they planned to find other soldiers, other fighters. Somewhere, someone must have a plan. Above them, the alien ships moved slowly, watching, waiting. They did not attack yet. They had given Earth 7 days. Why? Rayen believed there was a reason, a weakness, a rule they followed. That meant time. That meant chance. But what could 17 humans do against 9,900 alien ships? Rayen didn't know yet, but he knew one thing. This was not the first time Earth had been tested. He had read the old files, seen the old missions. Maybe Earth had faced this before. He would find the truth. He would find a way, even if it killed him. Because Rayan was not just fighting to survive. He was fighting for Earth's memory, for its future, and for every child hiding in fear like Aaliyah. The sky cried fire, but the war had just begun. The cities were quiet now. Too quiet. Once full of life, now they stood like empty graves. No cars moved, no lights turned on, no voices, no birds, no wind, just silence. A strange, deep silence that made people feel cold inside. Rayan walked through the ruins of New Berlin, once one of the strongest cities in Europe. Now it was broken glass and smoke. Buildings were half gone. Roads were cracked. The sky was still dark from alien ships above. He moved carefully, holding his old rifle. But there was no one to shoot. No alien soldiers, no humans. Just silence. Then he heard something. A whisper. A cry. He followed the sound through a broken shop and into a basement. There, hiding behind boxes, was a girl. It was Elia. She looked up at him with scared eyes. "You're human?" she asked. Rayan nodded. "So are you. Are you hurt?" "No," she said. "But I saw them. They came. They didn't use guns, just sound. Then people fell." Rayan helped her up. "What kind of sound?" "A deep one. Like music, but wrong." Elia touched her ears, but then a bell rang, just once, and the ship, it moved away, like it was scared. Rayan stared at her. "Are you sure?" She nodded. They left the basement and walked to Rayan's truck. Along the way, they passed more frozen bodies, people who looked like they died standing. No wounds. No blood, just stopped. Rayan called this the freeze. It was how the aliens won, without bullets. They used sound to freeze minds, break thoughts, and shut down life. Back at the bunker, Juno worked on an old satellite radio. He smiled when Rayan and Elia returned. "You made it," he said. Rayan told him what Elia saw. The bell. The sound. Juno's eyes widened. That's why they attack some places and skip others. Some places have strong sound systems. Old bells, alarms, maybe even music. Rayan looked at the map. He marked cities where ships passed without attacking. All of them had loud old-style systems. Bells, towers, sirens. "Maybe sound hurts them," Rayan said. "But only certain sounds." He turned to Elia. "Can you remember the bell's tone? Was it high or low?" "It was like church bell. Deep, heavy, one ring." Rayan nodded. "We need to test it." They drove to a small town nearby. The bell tower still stood. Juno connected a speaker to the tower, powered by the truck's engine. Rayan aimed a drone camera toward the sky. An alien scout ship passed above. The town was dead silent. "Now," Rayan said. Juno played the bell sound. Bong. One single deep ring. The drone showed the alien ship stop. It shook. Its lights flashed. Then it flew away fast. It worked. "They fear it," Juno said. "Or maybe it confuses them." Rayan smiled. "Either way, we just found our first weapon. But they needed more. One bell wouldn't save Earth." Rayan sent out a new message through the radio. "To all survivors, find your old bells, sound systems, big speakers. We fight with sound now." More signals came in, weak but real. Other humans were still alive. A small army was waking up. But the aliens were watching. They had noticed the change. That night, Rayan saw something new in the sky. A giant alien ship, twice as big as the ice. Others appeared above the ocean. It dropped a strange dark ball into the sea. The water turned black. Fish floated up, dead. This was a warning. "They know we found something," Rayan said. "They're getting ready for the next move." Elia looked up at the stars. "Do you think someone out there will help us?" Rayan paused. "I don't know, but we must help ourselves first." He pointed to the stars. "Long ago, we sent signals into space. Maybe someone heard them. Maybe they are coming." Juno. "Check the radio. There's something strange," A new signal. Not from Earth. It's weak, but it's replying to something we sent 80 years ago. Rayen leaned over. Play it. The sound was low, broken, like a machine speaking. But one. Word was clear. Storm, returning. They all looked at each other. What's Storm? Elia asked. Rayen took out an old file. On the front was a name. Project Storm. He opened it. It was a secret mission. Long ago, before I was born, Earth sent ships out into space. To fight something, or escape it. He closed the file. Maybe those ships are still out there. Maybe they're coming back. The silence was over. The war had begun, and now Earth had a sound of hope. Rayen sat in the cold bunker, eyes fixed on the screen. The strange signal was still playing. It was soft and broken, like a whisper from far away. But the word was clear. Storm. Returning. He turned to Juno, who was adjusting the radio. Where is it coming from? Juno checked the blinking lights. It's from deep space, beyond our solar system, but it's not alien. The signal. It's human. Rayen stood slowly. Then maybe Project Storm survived. Elia listened, carefully. What was Project Storm? Rayen showed them a photo. It was old and faded. A team of people in spacesuits. Behind them, a ship with strange engines. 80 years ago, Earth knew something bad might come. So a secret mission was created. 17 ships were built. They were sent far away to find help or to fight if the time came. But Earth forgot, he continued. People changed. Records were lost. And now, they're sending a message back. Elia's eyes lit up. That means they're still alive. Rayen nodded. Or at least some of them are. Juno pointed to the radio. But the signal is weak. It's like they're calling from behind something. Maybe a gas cloud or an asteroid belt. Rayen's voice became firm. Then we need to reach them. We need to send a signal back. A clear one. They worked all night, using old satellites, radio towers, and parts from broken tech. They built a stronger transmitter. When it was ready, Rayen spoke into the mic. This is Commander Rayen of Earth. If you can hear us, we need help. Earth is under attack. Your message was received. Please respond. Project Storm, we are listening. They waited. Seconds passed, then minutes. Then, a sound came back. It was faster this time, more urgent. 3 words stood out. Earth, fight, ready. Rayen looked at Juno. They want us to fight. They're sending help. But not everyone was happy. In a nearby city, another group of survivors picked up the signal. Their leader, Colonel Hark, listened with narrow eyes. He didn't trust the, message. This could be a trap, he said to his men. It could be from the aliens trying to fool us. But his second-in-command disagreed. If it's real, we should join them. Colonel Hark shook his head. No, we stay hidden. Let them make the mistake. Back at the bunker, Rayen's team made a big decision. They would try to contact the old space launch center in the Arctic, a place called Base Orion. It was the heart of Project Storm, Rayen said. If any ships are still on Earth, they'll be there. But the journey was dangerous. Alien ships flew over most roads and cities. Travel had to be done quietly, off the radar. Rayen, Juno, and Elia packed supplies and left at dawn. They drove through broken highways, crossed rivers, and moved through forests. Along the way, they saw more signs of alien damage. Farms were dead, trees turned black. Whole towns frozen by that same strange sound. But they also found something else. Graffiti on a wall drawn by survivors. Storm Will Returnelia pointed to it. Others believed too. After 4 days, they reached the snowy lands of the Eon Earth. There, under the ice, stood Base Orion. It was cold and silent. But when they entered, the lights flickered on. The base was still alive. Inside, they found a long hallway filled with old control panels and large screens. One screen was glowing. It showed 17 dots, each a ship. Some were marked red, lost. others green, active. 3 were blinking. Juno read the names. Storm 1, Storm 5, Storm 12. They're still active, Aaliyah gasped. That's 3 ships, Rayen smiled. And they're coming home. Suddenly the screen changed. A warning appeared. New signal detected. Unknown source. Approaching fast. They rushed outside. In the sky, a bright light moved toward them. But this one was not like the alien ships. It was smaller, faster, a human ship. It landed hard on the snow. The door opened and a tall man stepped out. His suit was old, with the storm emblem on the chest. He removed his helmet. "I'm Admiral Kyle, captain of Storm 5, he said. "I heard your call, and we don't have much time." Rayen stepped forward. "We thought you were lost." Kyle shook his head. "We were never lost. We were waiting, watching, and now, Earth needs to rise." He looked at the sky. "They're not just here to invade. They're here to finish what they started 100 years ago." Snow fell slowly over base Orion, but inside the ice-covered walls, fire burned in the hearts of the last fighters of Earth. Admiral Kale, tall and strong, stood in front of a large screen. His voice was calm, but full of power. "We were sent. Out 80 years ago," he said. 17 ships, 1 mission, to find the enemy's weakness." Rayen listened closely. Kale continued. "We found them. But we also found something worse. These aliens, they don't just destroy planets. They erase memories, erase history. They make people forget what was lost." Ilya stepped forward. "Is that why people forgot Project Storm?" Kyle nodded. "Yes, it's part of their attack. They don't just kill bodies, they kill knowledge." Juno looked shocked. "But how? How can they erase memories?" Kale looked at the ceiling. "With sound, a special frequency. It changes how the brain works, makes people forget what they knew." Rayen clenched his fists. "So we are not just fighting a war of weapons. We are fighting to remember." Kale smiled. "Exactly." He pressed a button on the control panel. A secret door opened behind him. Inside was a hangar, hidden for decades, and inside the hangar, 5 ships, old but strong. Each had the storm emblem on its side, like wings wrapped around a lightning. Bolt, Juno's eyes went wide. "The secret fleet." Kale nodded. 5 storm ships were hidden here, in case Earth was attacked before we returned. Only a few people knew. Your message woke up the base's AI. That's why the ships are ready now. Rayen walked toward one of them. "Can they fly?" "With repairs," Kale said. "But they still have the old weapon, sonic pulse cannons. They use sound to break the enemy's mind." Ilya remembered the bell. "Like the church bell." Kale smiled. "Yes, but stronger, focused, built to fight the way the enemy fights." They worked day and night. Juno and Kyle repaired engines. Rayen tested the cannons. Ilya helped organize supplies. She learned fast and refused to rest. In 3 days, the first ship, Storm Echo, was ready to fly. Kyle spoke to the group. "With these ships, we can take back the skies. But we must be careful. The enemy watches everything. Once we launch, they'll come for us." Rayen nodded. "Then we strike fast and strike hard." The team prepared to fly to Signal Peak, a high mountain where a massive alien ship was spotted. It was believed to control the others. "If we take out the controller," Kale said, "we break the network. The rest of the ships may fall." But something happened before they launched. The radio buzzed. A weak voice came through. "This is Colonel Hark. Under attack. Underground base in ruins. They found us." Rayen grabbed the mic. "Hark, this is Rayen. Hold your ground. We're coming." Kale frowned. He didn't believe us before. Now he's calling for help? Rayen stared at the screen. "He's still human. We don't leave anyone behind." Kyle agreed. "Then we move. 2 ships go to help Hark. 2 go to Signal Peak. 1 stays here." Rayen, Kyle, and Juno climbed into Storm Echo and Stormfire. Elias stayed behind to protect Base Orion. As the ships powered up, the old engines roared for the first time in 80 years. Snow melted, ice cracked, lights blinked to life. The ships flew up, breaking through the dark sky. Rayanne looked down. Earth was broken, but not dead. It still had hope. At the underground base, Colonel Hark's team was surrounded. Alien drones hovered above, firing sonic blasts. His people covered their ears, trying to stay alive. Then they heard it, a sound, deep and strong. Not from the aliens. Boom! Storm Echo fired its cannon. A massive pulse of sound shattered the sky. Alien drones cracked and fell like glass. Stormfire circled and dropped EMP mines. The ground lit up. Explosions shook the tunnels. The aliens retreated. Colonel Hark stared in shock. They came! Rayan landed and stepped out. Next time, trust the signal. Hark looked down. I will. Meanwhile, at Signal Peak, Kale and Juno saw the controller ship. It was giant, glowing red, floating like a god above the mountain. Kale gripped the controls. This is it. They fired the sonic pulse. Boom! The sound wave hit the ship. It shook. Lights blinked, but it didn't fall. Again! Kale shouted. Second blast, then a third. The red glow cracked. A loud scream filled the sky. The ship exploded in a ring of white light. All across Earth, alien ships stopped moving. Some fell, some froze. For the first time in days, Earth was quiet. Kyle smiled. That was just the beginning. Smoke rose from the mountain. The red controller ship was gone. Its explosion had sent a shockwave across the sky. But the silence didn't last. Within hours, the other alien ships began to move again. Slower, less organized, but still dangerous. Rayan stood on the frozen hill, watching them with sharp eyes. We hurt them, he said, but we didn't stop them. Back at Base Orion, Elia stared at the blinking dots on the map. There are fewer ships now, she said, but some are changing direction. Juno stepped closer. They're confused. Without their controller, they don't know what to do. Kyle shook his head. Confused or not, they're still deadly. That night, the team sat around the war table. Kyle pulled out an old folder marked Echo Protocol. It was made long ago, he said. If the enemy used sound, we would fight with sound too. But not just blasts. We would use music, voice, echoes. Juno raised a brow. Music? Yes, Kyle nodded. Their minds are built around one pattern, one frequency. But music breaks that pattern. It creates chaos in their system. Rayan looked interested. You mean we use our sounds to fight theirs? Exactly, Kale replied. Not with guns, with echoes. And so began the Echo War. Teams of survivors across the world were given instructions. Old radios were turned into sound bombs. Speakers were mounted on rooftops. Bells and sirens were fixed. Musicians, engineers, and even DJs became part of the resistance. Rayan led a mission to an old city, once called New York. Alien towers now covered it like a spider's web. He and Aaliyah moved carefully through the dark streets. At the center stood a resonator tower, built by the aliens. It sent out a deep pulse every hour, the same sound that froze human minds. We need to shut it down, Rayan whispered. Aaliyah held a small device, a pulse inverter. Juno had built it using parts from Storm Echo. They reached the base of the tower. Alien guards floated around, silent and deadly. Suddenly, a sound played from Rayan's backpack. It was music, a soft human lullaby. The guards turned, confused. One twitched, another screamed. Rayan grinned. It's working. They planted the inverter and ran. Boom! The tower exploded with a wave of human sound. A warm hum filled the air. Across the city, people who were frozen began to move again. Some fell to their knees, crying. Others looked around, dazed, like waking from a long sleep. Rayan's voice came through every radio still working. To all survivors, This is not the end. This is the beginning. The Echo War has begun. Fight with your voice. Fight with your sound. We are still here. Around the world, the sound of resistance rose. In Africa, drums echoed through valleys. In Asia, giant speakers played old songs from mountaintops. In South America, flutes and firecrackers mixed in strange rhythm. In the Arctic, Kale trained pilots to fly the storm fleet in perfect sync, each ship playing a different frequency, together making a sound shield. But the aliens weren't finished. Far in the sky, beyond Earth's moon, a large ship began to move. Its shape was different, older, darker. Juno saw it first on the satellite feed. "That's not like the others," he said. Kyle stared at the screen. "No, that's a mothership." Ryan stepped forward. "How big is it?" Juno swallowed. "Big enough to hold thousands of drones, maybe more." Kale looked at everyone. "We have one last chance. If it lands, the war ends. Earth won't survive." Ilya asked, "Can we stop it?" Kale opened a drawer and pulled out a small black case. Inside was a device with a red switch. "This is the core harmonic bomb," he said. "It creates one sound, one perfect frequency that breaks everything the enemy built." Ryan nodded. "Where do we place it?" Kale looked at the screen. "Inside the mothership." Everyone went quiet. That was suicide. But Ryan didn't blink. "Then that's where we go." Kyle smiled. "This war started with 17 ships," he said. "Only a few returned. But this time we won't fly to escape. We fly to finish it." They looked out the window. The sky was no longer silent. The Echo War had truly begun. The sky above Earth was not blue anymore. It was dark, covered by the shadow of the alien mothership. People looked up in fear. Its size was bigger than mountains. It moved slowly, like a floating city made of black metal and red light. Inside Base Orion, the storm team was preparing for their final mission. Ryan stood near the storm echo, tightening his gloves. Juno checked the core harmonic bomb one last time. "It will only work once," Juno said quietly. "One perfect sound. After that, it melts down." Kyle nodded. "That's all we need." Elia looked worried. "But how do we get inside the ship? It's too big, and they will see us coming." Kyle walked to the holomap and pointed to a spot near the center of the mothership. "There's a weak point here. An energy port," he explained. "It opens when their smaller ships enter and exit." Ryan studied the map. "So we fly in with their own traffic?" "Yes," Kale replied. "But once we're inside, there's no way back out. The only escape is after the bomb explodes." Juno sighed. "Then we better make it count." Before the launch, Elia pulled Ryan aside. "You don't have to do this," she said softly. Ryan smiled. "I do. Earth gave up once. We won't do it again." She handed him a small old photo. It showed a blue sky, green trees, and people laughing. "Bring this back," she whispered. "Or bring back what it means." Ryan nodded and climbed into the ship. 3 storm ships took off from the icy ground: Storm Echo, Storm Fire, and Storm Ghost. They flew fast, rising into the stars. The mothership grew larger on their screens. Its surface was full of moving parts, lights, and drones. Kale led the formation. "Follow the drone line. Stay silent. No radio." They flew close behind a group of alien ships, mimicking their pattern. It worked. A gate opened, one by one, the key. Storm ships entered the mothership. Inside, it was like a giant maze. Metal walls, red lights, strange sounds. They moved carefully, following the map Kale had memorized. Ryan felt the air grow heavy. The ship had no wind, no warmth, just silence. A silence so deep it made his heart beat louder. Suddenly Juno whispered, "They know." The lights changed. The ship shook. From above, alien guards descended. tall, thin creatures with long arms and glowing faces. Kale shouted, "Split up! Get the bomb to the core!" Storm Ghost turned left, drawing the enemy fire. Storm Echo and Stormfire flew straight to the center. The alien defense system activated. Blades of light shot across the corridors. Stormfire was hit. Its wing burned. "We're losing control," shouted the pilot. Ryan gritted his teeth. "Keep going! Just a little more!" They reached the core. It was a giant sphere, floating in the middle of a dark chamber. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. "This is it," Juno said. "Their mind, their power. Everything starts here." Rayen placed the core harmonic bomb near the sphere. Suddenly, a voice filled the chamber. Not a human voice, not a scream, but a song, a deep echoing hum, full of pain and power. The aliens were singing, trying to break their minds. Juno fell to his knees, holding his head. "I can't," Rayen shouted. "Focus!" He reached for the switch, but a tall alien dropped in front of him. Its eyes burned white. Rayen froze, but Kale jumped between them. He raised a sonic blade, one last weapon. He slashed through the alien. It screamed and vanished. Kale looked at Rayen, smiling. "Do it!" Rayen hit the switch. Boom! A wave of sound blasted through the core. Not a scream, not a roar, a perfect echo. The light changed. The walls shook. The whole ship began to break apart. Rayen grabbed Juno and ran. "Back! To the ship!" he shouted. They ran through the burning halls. Fires, broken drones, and collapsing walls surrounded them. Storm Echo barely started, but it flew. They escaped just as the mothership exploded in space, like a black sun turning inside out. On Earth, people looked up, and for the first time in weeks, the sky was clear. The explosion of the mothership lit up the whole sky. Even in daylight, people saw it, a flash like a second sun followed by silence. Then, the clouds began to move again. The air felt lighter. The strange buzzing that filled Earth's air for weeks was gone. The alien drones stopped flying. Some fell from the sky. Others simply turned off and dropped, crashing into the ground. In every country, people came out from hiding. They looked up, and for the first time, in a long time, they saw the blue sky again. At Base Orion, Elia watched from the snow-covered tower. Her hands shook. Her eyes filled with tears. "They did it," she whispered. "They really did it." Storm Echo, the last storm ship still flying, was returning. Smoke came from its engines, and parts of the wing were missing. But it was alive. Inside, Rayen held the photo Elia had given him. Juno sat beside him, bruised but breathing. Kale had not made it. He had stayed behind to buy them time, to fight one last time so Earth could live. Rayen looked out the window and whispered, "Thank you, Admiral." When the ship landed, Elia ran forward. She hugged Rayen tightly, then Juno. "You brought back the sky," she said. Rayen smiled, though his eyes were heavy. "We brought back more than that." That night, survivors across the world lit fires, not for warmth, but for memory. They told stories of what they had lost, and who they had saved. Colonel Hark, once full of doubt, stood in front of a crowd. "This war showed us that Earth was not weak," he said. "We were just waiting for the right echo to wake us up." He looked at Rayen, Juno, and Elia. "They woke us, and now we will never sleep again." The next day, people started cleaning up the cities. Teams removed broken alien parts, helped the injured, and searched for more survivors. Old radio towers were rebuilt. A new signal was sent across the planet, a message of hope in every language. It said, "Earth stands. Earth remembers. Earth fights together." Rayen sat on a small hill watching the sun rise. Ilya joined him. "Do you think they'll come?" "Back up," she asked. Rayen was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Maybe, one day. But if they do, We'll be ready, with our voices, with our memories, with our people. She nodded. Together they sat under the blue sky. It was quiet, but this time it was a peaceful silence. Not fear, not control, just peace. Far away, deep in space, a small light blinked. Something was watching. Something still alive. But Earth no longer slept. The sound of the Echo War still lived in every survivor's heart, and if the enemy ever returned, Earth would answer again with one sound: unity. 2 months passed. The skies stayed clear. Cities once empty were now full of voices, people rebuilding, children laughing, soldiers guarding. Earth was breathing again. But deep underground, in a secret room at Base Orion, Rayen stood before a dark screen. A red dot blinked slowly. Elia walked in. "You're still watching it?" Rayen nodded. "It's not just a dot, it's movement. Something is alive out there." Juno entered behind her. The aliens weren't just an army. They were part of something bigger, a network, a hive. Rayen pointed to the blinking dot. "This signal, it's from farther than our moon, farther than any alien ship we've ever seen." They all stared at the screen. Something was coming. But this time, Earth would not wait. Across the globe, the survivors had united. Old enemies had become allies. The 5 storm ships were repaired, faster and stronger. New versions were being built. Echo class. Fighters using the same sound tech that had saved Earth. Pilots trained day and night. Civilians learned self-defense. Engineers and scientists worked together. Music became a weapon. Every city had sound towers, ready to broadcast frequencies if the enemy returned. Even children knew how to create echo bombs from simple tools. Elia stood in the center of a rebuilt city. A huge screen played Rayen's voice. "They thought we were broken. They thought we forgot. But they don't know what humans become after we lose everything." Rayen continued in the recording, his voice calm and strong. "We don't break. We remember. We rebuild. And when the stars shake again, we will rise." The screen faded. The people clapped. Not in fear, but in strength. At night, Rayen walked alone to the edge of a cliff. Below, the ruins of an old city shimmered under. Starlight Elia joined him. She handed him a piece of paper. "What's this?" he asked. "A list," she smiled. "The names of every person who helped during the war." Rayen looked at the list. Hundreds of names. Soldiers, doctors, farmers, radio operators, pilots, children. Even the name of Admiral Kale was there, written in bold. Juno appeared, holding a small box. Inside was a medal with the Earth emblem. Rayen shook his head. "I didn't fight alone." "We know," Juno said. "But someone has to carry the memory." Rayen looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, something was still, watching. But it didn't matter, because Earth was no longer afraid. The next generation would grow up with a different story, not of defeat, but of survival. A story not of a broken world, but of a world that echoed back. Loud, strong, united. The invaders came with silence, but Earth answered with sound, and in that sound, we found our soul.